When it comes to buying a motorcycle, we all want to feel like we're making a smart investment. But what if I told you that some engines on the market are nothing short of mechanical disasters? Engines that look powerful on paper, but quickly turn into regrets on wheels. In this video, we've got the 20 worst motorcycle engines of all time, according to engineering analysis and rider experiences. And trust me, some of these might shock you. From catastrophic design flaws to repair bills that exceed the bike's value, these engines have left trails of stranded riders and empty wallets. The number one engine on this list was so fundamentally flawed, the manufacturer had to abandon an entire technology rather than try to fix it. Stick with me to the end, because this isn't just a list. It's a buyer's guide to what not to buy. Miss this, and you could be riding straight into a mechanical nightmare that you'll regret for years. Number 20. Honda CX500, 1978. Starting our countdown at number 20 is the 1978 Honda CX500. This engine became notorious for what riders called the triple bypass. 3 critical components that would fail almost simultaneously, requiring complete engine removal to repair. The water pump mechanical seal would fail, the stator would burn out, and the cam chain tensioner would wear down, often all around the same mileage point. When these failed together, you were looking at a repair bill that could exceed $1,000 on a bike that might be worth just twice that amount. Early models were also plagued by a major recall due to cam chain guide bolts that would loosen and break, potentially grinding away the engine casing itself. Owners described hearing an ominous ticking sound, the death knell of your engine casing being slowly destroyed. While some riders claimed the CX500 was bulletproof once these issues were addressed, getting there required deep pockets and endless patience. For many owners, this bike was the definition of a money pit disguised as Honda reliability. Number 19. Suzuki TL1000S, 1997 to 2001. At number 19, we have the Suzuki TL1000S. This V-twin sport bike packed serious power, but was cursed with a fundamentally flawed rear suspension design and electrical gremlins that made ownership a perpetual gamble. The rear shock design was described by engineers as a teaspoon of oil being forced through valves, a system that simply didn't work. It would overheat rapidly, causing unpredictable movements from the rear end. Meanwhile, the sheer power of the engine meant the front end would flap about under acceleration. Inside the engine, cam bearings would wear out prematurely, creating a telltale rattling from the top ends, sometimes as early as 15,000 miles. This wasn't just annoying, it was a ticking time bomb for catastrophic engine failure. The electrical and fuel injection systems were notoriously problematic, causing poor cold starting, low idling, and the engine mysteriously dying at stop signs. Owners reported constantly checking for corroded ignition connectors, weak fuel pumps, or plugged injectors. The TL1000S gained a cult following for its raw power, but most owners spent more time fixing it than riding it. This was a classic case of a powerful engine let down by every system designed to support it. Number 18. Aprilia RSV MA, early 2000s. Number 18 on our list is the Aprilia RSV MA, specifically the early 2000s models. This is a fascinating case where the core Rotax engine was generally robust, but was completely undermined by what owners described as shit electrical systems. Electrical problems plagued these bikes: melting connections, shaky grounds, and pervasive low-voltage issues that would reset the dash and leave riders stranded on the roadside. The irony? The mechanical parts were often praised as bulletproof, but you couldn't rely on the bike to start or run consistently. A common failure point was the starter system. When the electrical issues caused low battery charge, the starter would struggle, eventually leading to the costly failure of the sprag clutch. One problem cascaded into another, creating a never-ending cycle of repairs. Riders also reported mysterious oil leaks and occasional backfires, particularly in less than ideal temperatures. The rectifier and regulator were also prone to failure, often linked to overheating. The RSV MA proved that even a rock-solid engine is worthless when surrounded by unreliable supporting systems. It was a powerful Italian thoroughbred that spent more time in the shop than on the road. Number 17. Norton Commando Combat Engine, 1972. At number 17, we have the Norton Commando's Combat Engine from 1972. This is a classic case of pushing an existing design too far without reinforcing critical components, with catastrophic results. In an attempt to boost performance, Norton raised the compression ratio to 10:1, promising 65 horsepower. The result? Widespread main bearing failures and broken pistons that left riders stranded and dealerships overwhelmed with warranty claims. The reduced gearing, intended to improve acceleration, only made things worse by increasing the likelihood of over-revving, even in top gear. The cam chain, crucial for proper timing, was difficult to adjust and frequently overlooked during maintenance, leading to incorrect ignition timing and additional engine problems. As a vertical twin, vibration was already an inherent issue. When Norton tried to isolate these vibrations with rubber engine mounts, they created a new problem. The chain would jump off the engine sprocket under acceleration. The Combat Engine debacle nearly bankrupted Norton, with approximately 1,500 engines needing to be reworked under warranty. By late 1972, Commandos were scarce on dealer floors, not because of high demand, but because the company couldn't afford to build them. Number 16. Triumph Trident T150 1970s. Coming in at number 16 is the Triumph Trident T150 from the 1970s. While its triple-cylinder engine was innovative, it suffered from a combination of design flaws that made reliability a constant concern. The center cylinder ran significantly hotter than the outer ones, causing it to wear out prematurely. Some owners even experienced seized middle cylinders, a catastrophic failure that could leave you stranded miles from home. But the real killer was hidden in plain sight, a paper oil filter element positioned above the exhaust collector. Many owners were completely unaware it existed, and it lacked a bypass provision. When this filter inevitably clogged with sludge, it would reduce oil flow to critical components, often leading to the fabled center cylinder failure. The valve train was equally problematic, with cracked swivel lash adjusters causing damage to valve stem tips and valve guides that wore out prematurely. Oil consumption was excessive, fuel economy was poor at around 30 miles per gallon, and a strange, high-pitched vibration at highway speeds was a persistent annoyance. The Trident's engine represented a bold step forward for Triumph, but its combination of heat management problems and hidden maintenance traps made ownership a constant battle against inevitable failure. If you're enjoying this countdown of engineering nightmares, hit that subscribe button right now. We're just getting started with the worst motorcycle engines ever made, and you won't want to miss what's coming up next. Number 15. Moto Marini Excalibur 350. At number 15, we have the Moto Marini Excalibur 350. This motorcycle perfectly embodied the phrase, all style, no substance, promising exotic Italian flair, but delivering a deeply flawed riding experience. Its 344cc V-twin engine was notorious for reliability issues and frequent breakdowns. Despite its exotic badge, it produced a measly 27 horsepower, pathetically underpowered even by the standards of its day. Riders expecting the exhilaration of a European performance bike instead found themselves on an underpowered, unreliable disappointment. The electrical system was particularly troublesome, described by owners as notoriously picky and prone to leaving riders stranded. Beyond its mechanical shortcomings, the bike suffered from subpar build quality, with reports of rattling components and assembly issues that made it feel cheaply made. Despite its attractive Italian styling and a distinctive exhaust note, the Excalibur 350's numerous mechanical problems overshadowed any positive attributes. It stands as a testament to how thoroughly a motorcycle can fail to deliver on its promises. Exotic Italian flair with none of the performance or reliability to back it up. Number 14. Kawasaki H1 Mach 3, 1969, or H2 750, 1972. Number 14 on our countdown brings us to the infamous Kawasaki H1 Mach 3 and its successor, the H2 750, bikes so dangerous they earned the ominous nickname Widowmaker. These two-stroke monsters delivered overwhelming power, 60 horsepower for the H1 and 74 for the H2, through chassis and suspension systems that were utterly incapable of handling it. The power delivery was described as erratic and too sudden, with everything happening at once when the revs climbed past 6,000 RPM. This abrupt surge would cause the bike to alter line very suddenly mid-corner, a terrifying prospect at any speed. Unexpected wheelies were common, catching even experienced riders off guard. Cornering at speed was considered strictly for the experts, and even they approached these bikes with caution. As if the handling wasn't dangerous enough, these engines were more oil-fed than actually needed, resulting in huge clouds of smoke whenever the throttle was opened wide. Riders often disappeared into their own fog bank at stoplights. Despite their reputation for being dangerous and unpredictable, these bikes achieved stratospheric success in sales, proving that raw power could overcome common sense in the marketplace. The H1 and H2 remain powerful reminders that an engine's strength can be its greatest weakness when paired with inadequate chassis design. Number 13. KTM Duke 790, 2018 to 2019. At number 13, we have the KTM Duke 790, specifically the 2018 to 2019 models. This modern machine was plagued by persistent and widespread issues with coolant and oil leaks that often led to overheating and potential engine failure. Owners frequently reported coolant leaking from multiple points: the oil cooler, the thermostat housing, often dripping directly onto the exhaust, the coolant elbow on the head, and even through the braided coolant hoses themselves. These problems weren't rare occurrences. They frequently emerged within the first few months of ownership. More concerning were allegations of defective camshafts in the LC8C engines, linked to oiling issues that were sensitive to manufacturing tolerances. In severe cases, coolant would mix with oil, evidenced by empty coolant tanks, and residue found in the clutch cover and on valve covers, a deadly cocktail for any engine. While KTM did honor warranty claims for these issues, many owners felt the company never fully acknowledged the fundamental problems, instead shifting blame to consumers. The fact that KTM quickly switched to the completely new 890 rather than upgrading the 790 speaks volumes about the underlying issues with this engine. The 790 Duke was a modern misfire for KTM, suggesting that even with today's advanced manufacturing techniques, rushing an engine to market without sufficient testing can still result in a reliability nightmare. Number 12. Ducati Paso 750, 1986. Number 12 on our list is the Ducati Paso 750 from 1986. This motorcycle perfectly demonstrates how prioritizing revolutionary styling over practical engineering can create a beautiful disaster. The fully enclosed fairing design significantly reduced airflow around the engine, dramatically increasing the risk of overheating, which the Paso certainly suffered from regularly. Form literally undermined function at the most basic level. The fueling system was equally problematic. The unique, rotated placement of the rear cylinder head required a fuel pump that would flood the Weber dual-throat carburetor at low speed, causing the motorcycle to frequently stall in urban areas. This automotive-sourced carburetor was also forever out of tune, making consistent performance an impossible dream. Like many Italian motorcycles of its era, the Paso 750 suffered from inconsistent quality control. Additional problems included cracking fuel tanks and vulnerability to ethanol-heavy fuel, which could attract water, corrode the fuel pump, and overload the charging system. In a particularly alarming design flaw, bolts holding the fuel tank mounting pin could dislodge and fall directly into the front injector intake, a potential catastrophe waiting to happen. Despite its amazing looks, the Paso 750 proved to be one of Ducati's most unreliable and worst-selling motorcycles, a testament to the folly of putting style before substance. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this countdown. We're about to enter the top 10 worst motorcycle engines ever made, and the nightmares are only getting worse. Number 11. Ariel Square 4, 1940s to 1950s. Breaking into our top 10 at number 11 is the Ariel Square 4 from the 1940s and 1950s. This engine harbored a fatal flaw so insidious that many owners didn't discover it until it was too late. Tiny sludge traps within the crankshaft that could lead to catastrophic engine destruction. These 4 tiny sludge traps would easily fill up and block oil flow to the big end bearings. The direct consequence? The engine could explode in under 500 miles if these traps weren't meticulously cleaned, a maintenance requirement many owners weren't even aware of. Modern detergent oils, ironically, made this problem worse by washing deposits into these already small traps. When the oil pathways blocked, the con rods would seize and snap, destroying the crankcases and cylinder on its way out of the engine. A truly spectacular and expensive failure. Overheating was a recurrent issue, often leading to blown head gaskets. This was compounded by an engine design that offered precious little room to have a thriving intake system. The Square 4's reputation was so severely marred by these lubrication issues that meticulous maintenance or costly modifications became essential for its survival. What appeared to be an innovative design harbored a fatal flaw that could destroy the engine from within, with little warning before catastrophic failure. Number 10. 2013 HarleyDavidson VRod. At number 10, we have the 2013 HarleyDavidson VRod. While the VRod line had its fans, this specific model year earned a notorious reputation for engine failures that left owners with massive repair bills. The 2013 model was plagued by persistent overheating and frequent oil pump malfunctions. Owners reported excessive engine noise that often signaled serious internal damage already in progress. These weren't minor issues. They were catastrophic failures waiting to happen. Problems typically began to surface between 10,000 and 20,000 miles, just as many riders were beginning to fully enjoy their motorcycles. When failures occurred, repair costs frequently exceeded $6,000 to $8,000, making this VRod a financially burdensome nightmare. Beyond the engine itself, riders encountered transmission issues, including gear slippage and difficulty shifting. Problems no one expects from a premium American cruiser. The 2013 VRod demonstrates how even within a generally well-regarded model line, specific production years can suffer disproportionately from critical component failures. This model year stands as a cautionary tale about production inconsistency and the importance of research before purchasing, even from established brands. Number 9. Bule Blast 500cc single. Number 9 on our countdown is the Bule Blast with its 500cc single-cylinder engine. Designed as an entry-level motorcycle to attract new riders, it instead became a masterclass in how to frustrate and discourage beginners with reliability issues. The Blast was plagued by transmission problems, including gears slipping, grinding, or failing to engage properly. These issues stemmed from various sources: worn clutch plates, misadjusted clutch cables, faulty shift drums, worn gears, damaged shift forks, or bad transmission bearings. Owners frequently reported significant trouble trying to take off from a stop, a critical flaw for a motorcycle aimed at beginners who already struggle with confidence. Imagine learning to ride while never knowing if your bike will actually move when you release the clutch. Beyond transmission woes, anecdotal evidence pointed to a lack of component robustness. Riders reported foot pegs snapping off and drive belts breaking, basic parts that should never fail on a properly engineered motorcycle. The Bule Blast proves that attempting to create an easy-to-handle first motorcycle means nothing if basic reliability is compromised. Instead of building a gateway to motorcycling, Bule created a gateway to frustration that likely sent many potential enthusiasts back to their cars permanently. Number 8. Suzuki TM400 Cyclone, 1970s. At number 8, we have the Suzuki TM400 Cyclone from the 1970s, a motorcycle so poorly engineered that it earned the reputation as one of the most dangerous production bikes ever made. The fundamental flaw wasn't actually the engine itself, but how its power was delivered through a catastrophically inadequate chassis and suspension. The bike was excessively heavy, weighing about 50 pounds more than top racing bikes, making it feel like a tank, but one with unpredictable handling. The suspension system was described as a total joke, failing after just 10 minutes of use and violently launching riders into the air over bumps. The frame exhibited excessive flex, making cornering a nightmare. The rear tire would smoke and make the bike veer unpredictably, while quick throttle movements could cause the front end to slam down hard enough to bend the forks. The 40 horsepower engine might have been adequate in a properly designed chassis, But in this configuration, it created a perfect storm of unpredictability and danger. The stock carburetors, designed to meet import regulations rather than optimize performance, could run lean and destroy your engine due to heat, if modified. The TM400 Cyclone stands as a stark reminder that even a decent engine can be part of a worse motorcycle when the overall platform is fundamentally flawed. It wasn't just bad, it was actively dangerous. If you're getting value from this history lesson in mechanical disasters, make sure to hit that subscribe button now. The top 7 engines on our list represent some of the most catastrophic failures in motorcycle engineering history. Number 7. Honda 400 Honda Matic, late 1970s. Number 7 on our list is the Honda 400 Honda Matic from the late 1970s. This bike represents a noble but fundamentally flawed attempt at innovation that created a riding experience that satisfied nobody. Honda's objective was to simplify riding with a semi-automatic transmission, but the execution was disastrous. The bike featured only 2 forward gears, slow and slower, which, ironically, still required manual selection by the rider, negating much of the convenience of an automatic. The already capable CB400T engine was strangled by small carburetors in an attempt to achieve the low-end response necessary for the torque converter. This further limited its power output, creating an underpowered ride. The hydraulic operation of the transmission suffered from much lower efficiency than Honda engineers had expected, largely due to concerns about oil leaks at high pressure. The result was a heavy, complex, and inefficient system that compromised the engine's power without delivering the promised ease of use. The Honda Matic proves that even Honda, with its reputation for reliability, can miss the mark when trying to reinvent core motorcycle functions. This well-intentioned innovation resulted in a bike that was neither automatic enough to be convenient nor manual enough to be engaging, the worst of both worlds. Number 6, 1980. HarleyDavidson Sportster 1000. At number 6, we have the 1980 Harley-Davidson Sportster 1000 from the infamous Ironhead era. This motorcycle exemplifies how corporate mismanagement under AMF ownership translated directly into a product nightmare for consumers. Weighing a substantial 529 pounds with a 997cc V-twin engine, it produced a mere 55 horsepower, a ludicrously low figure that made the bike feel heavy and sluggish. But poor performance was just the beginning of its problems. The most frustrating flaw was the notoriously unreliable starter motor, which frequently failed. Critically, the 1980 model lacked a kickstart, forcing riders into the humiliating situation of bump-starting their bikes or waiting for assistance whenever the starter inevitably failed. Electrical gremlins were pervasive. The 1984 to 85 models suffered from rotor cup magnets detaching and destroying the stator. Oil leaks were common from multiple points, including the clutch cover and pushrod seals. The stock carburetors ran lean, causing a condition nicknamed the Keen cough that led many owners to replace them entirely. The 1980 Sportster stands as a testament to how quickly a legendary brand can fall when quality control is compromised. It wasn't just unreliable, it was actively unpleasant to own and ride, a black mark on Harley's otherwise storied history. Number 5, KTM 390 Duke, 2014 to 2019. Breaking into our top 5 is the KTM 390 Duke, particularly the early models from 2014 to 2019. This small displacement sport bike became notorious for a perfect storm of issues that could lead to catastrophic engine failure. The most alarming problem was a propensity for sudden engine seizing, often linked to low oil pressure, coolant leaks, or failure of the timing chain tensioner. Owners described their engines becoming suddenly louder and hollow-sounding just before complete failure, the mechanical equivalent of a death rattle. The cam chain tensioner was a known weak point, with failures producing metallic noises and posing a significant risk of valve-to-piston contact, a terminal diagnosis for any engine. Some owners found it necessary to replace this component at just 17,000 kilometers. Oiling issues were pervasive, with complaints about the engine's fussiest oil capacity and a shittest view gauge that made monitoring difficult. Problems with water pump seals allowing coolant to mix with oil further exacerbated oil starvation. KTM's ready-to-race philosophy translated into highly tuned engines that, without meticulous maintenance, were prone to critical failures. While KTM honored warranty claims, many owners felt the company never fully acknowledged the fundamental problems. The 390 Duke proved that even modern motorcycles can suffer from basic engineering oversights that transform an exciting ride into a ticking time bomb. Number 4. HarleyDavidson Twin Cam 88, 1999 to 2006. At number 4, we have the HarleyDavidson Twin Cam 88 engine produced from 1999 to 2006. This power plant contained a critical design oversight that turned thousands of American dreams into roadside nightmares. The fatal flaw? Plastic cam chain tensioners. Yes, plastic components in one of the engine's most critical high-stress areas. These tensioners would inevitably wear down, shedding plastic shavings directly into the oil pump. This debris would then cause the oil pump to fail, potentially leading to catastrophic engine failure without any warning. This time bomb typically detonated between 20,000 and 40,000 miles, just as owners were fully bonding with their bikes. Beyond the tensioner issue, these engines were susceptible to oil leaks around the base gaskets and rocker box, causing oil seepage and compromised lubrication. Some units exhibited excessive crankshaft runout, generating vibration, noise, and accelerated wear. Transmission problems, stator failures, and excessive engine heat in traffic further plagued owners. Harley-Davidson's response only made matters worse. The company refused to issue a recall, classifying it as a maintenance problem rather than a safety defect. This stance prompted a class action lawsuit in 2001, though it was ultimately dismissed by the Wisconsin Supreme Court in 2007. The Twin Cam 88 stands as a stark example of how a seemingly minor cost-saving measure can create major reliability issues and damage a legendary brand's reputation. If you're still with me, hit that subscribe button now, because the top 3 engines on our list represent some of the most catastrophic failures in motorcycle engineering history. Number 3. Yamaha VMax, 2009 to 2020. Our bronze medal for engineering disaster goes to the Yamaha VMax, produced from 2009 to 2020. This power cruiser was conceived as a muscle-bound performance machine, but was ultimately crippled by persistent reliability issues and maintenance requirements that made it impractical to own. The fuel pump was notoriously problematic, especially if the motorcycle wasn't used regularly, leading to frustrating starting problems and frequent engine stalling. Imagine owning a premium performance cruiser that refused to start after sitting for just a week. Overheating was another significant issue, attributed to a lack of a better engine heat management system. This problem was particularly pronounced in urban riding or heavy traffic, exactly where many cruisers spend their time. With 197 horsepower, the V4 engine consumed fuel at an alarming rate, especially when riders enjoyed the power that was the bike's main selling point. The V-Boost feature, designed to provide additional thrust, would also malfunction intermittently. The VMax demanded frequent maintenance compared to other cruisers, requiring specialized care that many mechanics couldn't provide. This translated to additional costs for owners who were already paying a premium for the bike itself. To compound matters, the 2009 to 2011 models faced recalls for oil pump malfunctions due to abnormally high oil pressure, potentially leading to engine stalling and severe damage. The VMax proves that prioritizing raw power and aggressive styling can inadvertently compromise practical reliability, resulting in a high cost of ownership that undermines the very experience the bike promised to deliver. Number 2. Bimod VU, 1997 to 1998. Our runner-up for the worst motorcycle engine of all time is the Bimod VU from 1997 to 1998. This catastrophic failure represents ambition without execution and nearly destroyed the boutique manufacturer entirely. Bimod's fatal mistake was developing a revolutionary direct fuel injection system for a 2-stroke engine, a system that simply failed to function as intended. Riders experienced uncontrollable surges of power, followed by fits of coughing, choking, stalling, and spluttering. Even seasoned racers described the VDU as unrideable, a damning assessment for any motorcycle. Compounding these woes was a later discovered issue with crankshaft seals that would leak inconsistently. Attempts to fix this by machining the crankshaft ironically led to further crankshaft failures, solving one problem by creating another. Customer dissatisfaction was so profound that many demanded refunds. The only viable solution to make the VDU run reliably was to completely remove the problematic fuel injection system and install conventional carburetors, effectively admitting defeat on the bike's primary innovation. The VDU quickly became a warranty and PR disaster for Bimod, with high running costs, poor fuel economy, and a scarcity of expensive spare parts. Fewer than 500 units were ever produced, with all initial 150 recalled. This financial catastrophe forced Bimod into bankruptcy, as they had to buy back bikes from disappointed customers. The VDU stands as a stark reminder that revolutionary technology must actually work to be revolutionary. Number 1. Suzuki RE5 Wankel, 1974 to 1976. And finally, our number 1 worst motorcycle engine of all time is the Suzuki RE5 Wankel, produced from 1974 to 1976. This bold experiment with rotary engine technology created a perfect storm of heat management issues, reliability problems, and impractical fuel consumption that doomed it from the start. The fundamental issue was that Wankel engines produce significant heat, necessitating an overly complex cooling system that included both water and oil cooling, double-skinned exhaust pipes, and multiple oil reservoirs and pumps. Despite these elaborate measures, persistent overheating remained a critical problem. The RE5 was notoriously high maintenance, with rotor tips and side seals susceptible to rapid wear. This led to excessive oil consumption and frequent breakdowns. Owners frequently reported these sensitive components never stood a chance. Fuel economy was atrocious, with riders often gambling to achieve 100 miles between fuel stops. This poor efficiency was particularly devastating given the 1973 oil crisis, making a thirsty engine a catastrophic market choice. The cost of ownership was exorbitant. The RE5 was twice as expensive to purchase and at least 4 times as costly to maintain compared to other Japanese motorcycles of its era. Many Suzuki dealerships refused to service it due to a lack of specialized manuals, parts, and trained mechanics. The RE5 stands as the definitive example of how pursuing novel, unproven technology without addressing practical limitations can lead to both commercial and reputational damage. It remains a marker of a technological dead end in mainstream motorcycling, and our undisputed worst motorcycle engine of all time. Now that you know which motorcycle engines to avoid at all costs, you're probably wondering which bikes are actually worth your hard-earned money, especially if you're new to riding. Head over to my video, Motorcycle Types for Beginners, where I break down the perfect starter bikes that combine reliability, ease of maintenance, and rider-friendly characteristics. Unlike the mechanical nightmares we just covered, these bikes will keep you on the road instead of in the shop. Whether you're looking for a cruiser, sport bike, or something in between, I'll guide you toward engines with proven track records instead of these notorious failures. Click the link in the description. Your journey to finding the perfect first bike starts now.